Hey, here we go. And welcome into the show. Off and running with you today. I don't know what day it is. Monday? Monday. Okay, yeah. I'll roll with that. It's a Monday. Monday. Welcome in on this Monday. A reaction Monday, as it were. Going to react to the weekend. You had baseball. A little more info. You got a little more info at your fingertips here as far as how it's going to shape up at the end when we get to when it really matters. Now, it all matters in college baseball. All the games, all the weekends matter. They all add in or take away somehow or another to your postseason hopes and seedings and placings and hostings and all that stuff. And so we're one step closer. We got a little more info and pretty good weekend all the way around. And we'll get into that. Hope to hear from you. Hope you're doing well on this Monday. Really seriously do hope you're doing well. You can be a part of the show. Lots of ways for you to do that here today in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance. Say it with me. Go! With the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance all across the great state of Mississippi. Your hometown heroes at your local Farm Bureau Insurance agents. So get them on in here. You can text the show on the Country Pleasing text line, 885-3776. Got it? Have you memorized it? 885-3776. Another way to remember that, 885-ESPN. That's the number to text the show. So get on in here. You can also call me on the Divini phone, Divini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson, your Kubota dealer. Number to call, 897-1059. Got it? 601 number, 897-1059. Love to hear from you today. And, of course, if you're on the live stream, hey to you. If you're on YouTube, Facebook, X, drop a comment right there. Pop it in there, post it, and it pops up on the screen right here. We can make it a part of the show. Yeah, Miles, he's on YouTube. He said winning sure is fun. I'm telling you, it's like we talked about last week, isn't it, Miles? It's like it feels so good to have meaningful games going on and be all excited about it again, looking forward to the postseason, thinking, hey, look, maybe we haven't been the best team all year long, but we are in the postseason, and all you got to do is get hot. Get hot at the right time, in the right inning, against the right pitcher, get into a super, win 2 out of 3, get to Omaha. You never know. So you got all that to play for. So all of that and more coming up. Right off the top of the show, we're going to check in with good old buddy, old pal, Beaver. Hey, B.
Hey, Matt Wyatt.
How was your weekend, sir?
It wasn't bad.
Okay. Could have been better, could have been worse. Right in the middle? Is that where you're at?
Yep.
Okay. You watched the Kentucky Derby?
I did.
Thoughts, opinions, otherwise?
It was an awesome 2 minutes and 3 seconds. I find it so absurd that it was basically like the Super Bowl lead-in.
It sure was.
We do 6 to 7. I can't remember what it was. I think it was about 6 hours of coverage.
I mean,
for
Beaver,
2 minutes and 3 seconds.
I think it started on NBC, so the big network that carried it. I think it started at 1:30 p.m. Central Time, and the race did not run until like 5:59 p.m. Central Time. So it was 5.5 hours of lead-in?
Yep.
And, I got to give them credit, Beav, because some of it's actually interesting. Some of the lead-in, like, I don't know, the horses, the backstories, and, of course, they had some of those pre-races. Some of that stuff's pretty interesting, but I can only take so much of it. I mean, good night.
Yeah, I turned it there at 5:42, and I still felt like I still felt like I saw way more than I needed.
I gotcha. Yeah, no, we had it on like from the get-go, from the jump. Annabeth kind of loves all the pageantry part of it, just loves it. I mean, she was glued to who they were interviewing. And I wish I'd recorded it, but it was like on the alternate channel before it actually cut over to NBC. There was this guy who's like a reporter on all the gambling angles, right? And so he's in the concourse area at somewhere in this place. at the Kentucky Derby. He's got this TV screen. You know how like football analysts will stand in front of a TV screen and they'll draw up the play with their finger, you know? Well, he's just standing there pointing at, here's this horse and he's a 14-1, whatever, and he'll circle it and he's going through. Well, the camera left some room on the side where you could see like patrons, just people walking by, and this man and this woman, older man, older woman, walked by and realized that they could see themselves apparently on the monitors, that they were on TV. And it was the funniest thing. Like, you couldn't pay attention to anything this guy was saying or doing because there was this goofy old couple standing there looking at themselves in the camera. And it was the funniest thing I saw. It was the best entertainment I saw in the 5.5 hours leading up to that race until they actually ran the race. And then, of course, you had the photo finish, and they won it by a nostril. Okay, and that's enough Kentucky Derby. Because it's full-on baseball season. Here we go. Sandlot on. So, who won, who didn't? I tell you what we'll do. We'll just go ahead right now and make it a part of our headlines. Brought to you by Bank of England Mortgage and Went McGee. Went! The Mortgage Man. Find him online at mortgagemanms.com. Headline number one. Okay, so here you go. These are your winners in baseball over the weekend. Headline one. You had, of course, State at home taking 2 out of 3 from Alabama. We'll get that. Played really well in games 1, 2. Probably helped in game 2 by the fact that Alabama had a bunch of people who were sick and could not play. But, hey, still, State played well. You put up 8 runs. Even if Alabama's healthy, you got a chance to win that game. So you win those first 2. Bama slapped it around the yard and hit you around the yard on Sunday. And State with a furious comeback late, but did not close out the sweep. But sweeps are really hard. Sweeps are really hard, and they're tough to come by. You do not see many of those. So I will say, too, as a part of this, and we'll come back to it, I was a little perturbed by some of the things I saw. It's one thing for Coach Lamonis, the coach of the team, to be frustrated that they didn't play better on Sunday in certain ways. It's one thing for the team to be a little frustrated. They felt like they could have swept them and, or had a chance to because you won the first 2 and then didn't. You're disappointed with that. You want to win every game. But it's another thing for fans and media to come out of the weekend almost taking the approach that you expected to sweep them, and you are very disappointed that they didn't. I mean, tell me you don't really have a firm grasp on the greater reality of all of this than by showing me, like, they fell short in a major way because they didn't sweep somebody who, oh, by the way, is a top 25 baseball team according to the rankings and a very high RPI. And they spent some money on their baseball team too. So sure, you wanted to, okay, but the fact that you didn't does not make it a disappointing weekend for State. Sure, you wanted to sweep them, okay, but they're rare. Sweeps of top 25 type programs are very rare. So if you see a media person or a fan who almost wants to, almost wants to sort of pessimistically gig the team for not closing it out on Sunday, I mean, like, get a grip. They had a heck of a weekend. All right, off the soapbox now. Around the rest of the SEC, of course, Ole Miss goes and gets 2 out of 3 from Auburn, and they were really close to a road sweep. Auburn's just good and awful, but, man, they had a circus 8th and 9th inning between those two teams yesterday for Auburn to squeeze out one win over the weekend. Ole Miss was really close to a sweep on the weekend. The only sweep you did have in the SEC, the only one was, and I'd say it's a bit of a surprise, Georgia swept Vanderbilt in Athens 3-0. Vandy seems broken a little bit. It honestly adds more to the theory that I had that they got caught doing something they shouldn't do. I don't know if they've been the same since, especially since State when they're 2 out of 3 in Nashville. But Georgia swept Vandy at home. The rest of them, Tennessee takes 2 out of 3 at Florida. Kentucky takes 2 of 3, if I'm looking at this right, from Arkansas. Is that right? I thought Arkansas took 2 or 3. It says here Kentucky did 2 out of 3, but it was in Lexington. South Carolina 2 out of 3 at Missouri. And LSU with upset series win at home in Baton Rouge, taking 2 out of 3 from the number 1 team in the country, Texas A&M. And A&M's baseball team kind of doing its impression of the Texas A&M football team all these years. And that is spend a lot of money on your roster, maybe as much or more so than everybody else. Run out there and get you a nice big ranking. And then when it really means the most, fold like a cheap tent. Now, I know it's not over. We got a ways to go. But they sure went into Baton Rouge and coughed it up. All right. So what does that do to the SEC standings? We're still doing a few headlines, and then I'll come to your texts and your comments. So as far as what it does to the standings right now, I've got in the West, Arkansas still on top in the West, but they now have a 1-game lead over Texas A&M. Arkansas is 17-7. 1-game lead over A&M, who's 16-8. And then behind 2 games behind them is Mississippi State at 14-10. So you have 3 teams in the West who are above 500 in the league. That's Arkansas, A&M, and State. Arkansas has a 3-game lead on State. A&M has a 2-game lead on State. State right there in third in the West at 14-10. And then you go back, Alabama's 10-14. LSU and Ole Miss both 9-15, and then at the bottom of the West and the league is Auburn at 4-20. I don't think anybody saw that coming. Over in the Eastern Division, Kentucky leads that division. They lead the league too, by the way, with an 18-6 league record. 1 game in front of Tennessee at 17-7. And then there's a big gap because Georgia's 4 back of Tennessee at 13-11, tied with South Carolina. Then you get down to Vanderbilt's 11-13, Florida 10-14. The bottom of the East is Missouri at 7-17. So the West has 3 teams above 500 in the league. The Eastern Division has 4, with Georgia and South Carolina both tied at 13-11. They would be 1 game behind State in the overall. And so in the overall, it's Kentucky 1, Arkansas and Tennessee tied for 2. It would be A&M alone in 4th place at 16-8. And then State alone in 5th place right now in the SEC. 1 game ahead of Georgia and South Carolina tied at 13-11. So that's how the standings are in the SEC right now going into this week. And I know, speaking for Mississippi State, they don't have a midweek game this week, and so it'll be full on trying to get ready for a trip to Arkansas, which would be a big, a big series this weekend, obviously. All right, so what do you think coming out of the weekend? Will comments on YouTube, so gave us a happy Monday. Sven commented, said, "Hail State, everybody. It's good to win, isn't it?" He said, "If we take 1 game at Arkansas and win the series against Missouri, we will be a host in the postseason." And then he wants to know where the Lamonas haters are. Yeah, and I mean, it sounds like a good scenario to me. I don't know. I hadn't studied the RPI that close as far as will that definitely make State a host. I mean, I think that theory is out there. If you can avoid a sweep at Arkansas, then your RPI is going to be improved out of that trip, and then you're going to have the home series with Missouri. I don't know. I don't know how all that's going to work. They may have more work to do than that, but it's good to have something to play for in that regard. It might even be good for this team, young team, to go into Hoover feeling like they need to make a strong showing that might improve things for them to squeeze in there and be a host. But even if they're not, State would be a very highly rated 2 seed as it is right now if they don't have some sort of collapse, and probably get a good draw there too. And we've seen in the past, some teams it suits them to be on the road in the postseason. Sure, you'd rather be at home, I mean, as a fan, but it does, being a high 2 seed somewhere, you got a shot. No question about it. Roshana commented on Facebook and says they didn't mess around, let the dogs get hot. And speaking of hot, like this weekend was the first weekend we really had any humidity. It's not really hot yet. I think y'all would agree with that. But I did notice because of the humidity, everybody was doing a lot more sweating, especially starting pitchers. I don't know if y'all noticed that, but everybody starting pitchers sweat through the jerseys real quick, and then they were trying to keep their hands dry the rest of the time that they were out there. All right, over to the text line, the country pleasing text line. country pleasing sausage on grocery store shelves all around the Southeast. It is the best, made right here in Mississippi, in Florence, Mississippi, at Country Meat Packers right there on Highway 49. Check them out online, countrypleasing.com. Jason in Flagstaff, Arizona, says State hasn't played well in an earlier game this year. They've gotten away with a couple, but generally don't wake up until the stretch. Yeah, I know. They moved it up to noon and then fall behind and try to, furious come back late. But they've done it some, and then sometimes it's like you need to get started earlier. But overall, 2 out of 3 at home, it's not like it's some sort of ding on your reputation. Sure, by virtue of winning the first 2, you were in a position to sweep if you won the game. That's obvious. It's a technical thing, but to label this as some sort of dogs didn't come through, they didn't accomplish what they wanted to accomplish for the weekend because they didn't sweep Alabama, that's just not true. It's just, as a media, as a fan, coach, player, sure, you want to win every game you play, but realistically, how often do you sweep people in the SEC? How often do you sweep good teams, good postseason teams? You just don't. It rarely happens. Stephen texts the show, Country Pleasing text, said, I thought Mississippi State had a great weekend. I went to the game Sunday, and the team seemed uninspired. Said it seems so tough for teams to complete a sweep on Sundays. Yeah. Yeah, for whatever reason. It's just tough. White Denzel texts the show. Now, he says, not trying to change the subject, but, and then he goes on to change the subject. That's fine. He says, that Kentucky Derby was amazing. Closest 3-horse photo finish since 1947. And Mystic Dan's owner became the first owner since 1952 to win the Kentucky Oaks on the Friday before the Derby and then the Kentucky Derby. Just unreal. He said, it's a shame that Mystic Dan may not run the Preakness on May the 18th, but I get it. Why wouldn't he run? St. Louis Vic texts the show. Okay, that's something different there. Let's see. Real unnamed texter says, feels good to be back in Hoover. Yeah, all right. You can go ahead and make your plans if you want to go to the SEC baseball tournament. I know. I'm trying to think the last one I went to. I used to go every year. Every single year I would go, and I can't. If I've missed 1 or 2 years, I might have missed 2. I might have missed the last 2, I guess. Now that I think about it, because I was over there when they got run ruled and sent home quickly. All right, over to the phone line. Got a couple of minutes before the music begins here. The Divinity Equipment phone line on this Reaction Monday. Geneva, hanging on line 1. Thanks for calling. What's up?
Hey, Matt.
Hey.
I enjoyed everything going on at Mississippi State this weekend. The women put a whooping on Georgia.
Yeah. I saw that, and Georgia was ranked like 14th, I think, in the country, and it was labeled as an upset. What, State took 2 out of 3 in that one?
Yep.
Yeah. It was a big weekend.
They're peaking at the right time also.
Mm-hmm. And someone tweeted this about them in the preseason being picked last. I think they said maybe by the league's coaches or something, but it referenced the fact that preseason they were picked at the bottom, and then here they are, a very high seed going into the SEC softball tournament, and they're going to play in the postseason. And, a similar thing happened to the baseball team, right? I picked State last, and I don't know. It had me scratching my head, Geneva, as to how could these other people around the league be so wrong about State baseball and softball,
Yeah. Well, I think what they missed out on Mississippi State women is we had some hitters going out last year. We just needed pitching to go with it. And this year, the pitchers are making it a pitching duel instead of a home run duel.
Yeah. And I also saw where they put out on social media that for softball this year, State's fans set an attendance record for the season. It said regular season attendance record 22,349. Broke the old record by almost 3,000, and that was in spite of playing fewer games. So people have really got behind the team too.
Yep, we got the bats and the pitching going right now. Let's hope it hangs in there.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, hats off to the softball team as well, and Coach Ricketts. They've done a great job. Geneva, great to hear from you on a Monday. Appreciate you.
Thanks.
Yep, call me anytime. Hey, and when you root for a team or a school, and it's like, I don't know, softball, unless you play or coach, like that's your sport, if you're just a fan of the school, it's like, yeah, I don't know, you don't necessarily get too torn up if your softball team isn't that good in that year. But when they are good, man, I always get in, I start watching the SEC tournament, I'll watch the postseason, and then I'm reminded of how much fun it is to watch that sport because it is fast-paced. There's very little downtime. The action is really quick. I mean, it's shorter to the plate. The base paths are shorter. The field is smaller. Everything just happens faster and quicker. And I'm reminded each postseason when State gets in, I start watching it. I'm reminded how much fun it is to watch it. But it looks like people really caught on to them this year. A new attendance record for the regular season. All right, just getting started with y'all, as you can tell. Lots of texts and comments to get to. And that's all coming up as we get going on this Reaction Monday. I'm Matt. Stick around.
Today's game from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Time was, their breakfasts were gloomy. They just didn't feel right, and they didn't know a delicious cereal could help their sad plight. So they tried this and tried that, but irregularity kept coming back all the same. For as often the case, lack of bulk in their diet was actually to blame. Once at the grocer's, the wife was so drooping and sagging that a neighbor said, "Get on Kellogg's All-Bran wagon. Why, All-Bran has a flavor that's scrumptious to eat. So rich and nut-like, makes breakfast a treat. And of course, Kellogg's All-Bran can help you each day to youthful regularity, the dietary way." "Well, it might do some good," said the wife with a sigh. "Guess I'll get some All-Bran and give it a try." Soon, breakfasts at her house were happy and bright, for delicious Kellogg's All-Bran set their day off right. Yes, All-Bran supplies all the bulk in your diet, you see, that you may need for youthful regularity. And no half-brand cereal possibly can provide this help as surely as Kellogg's All-Bran. A delicious, non-habit-forming aid to your diet. You're sure to like All-Bran. Just buy it and try it.
Get on the Kellogg's All-Bran wagon with the best bran in the land. The cereal that tastes grand, the cereal that's All-Bran, a breakfast treat that can't be beat. Be a regular guy and climb aboard the All-Bran wagon. Eat Kellogg's All-Bran.
What is the secret of this enchanted book? What wonders are hidden within its pages? What magical spell does it cast on all who read it? What is the secret of the never-ending story?
But that's impossible!
You will enter a world where a young boy's imagination becomes a vivid reality. The world of Atreyu and Artax, the Rockbiter, and a good and kind gnome. A world that is vast and eternal, treacherous and dazzling, unforgettable and free. For anyone who's ever made a wish, believed in a fantasy, or had a dream, this is the never-ending story.
It's a new thing. It's a fun thing. It's a swing wing.
It's a what?
It's a swing wing. It's a wing wing. A brand new classic grand fun thing.
It's a what?
It's a swing wing. A fun thing. And now it's your favorite store thing.
It's a what?
Mazda announces some great news for truck buyers. Right now, you can beat the already outstanding value of the $67.95 Mazda SE5.
Zone 105.9 and worldwide at the Zone1059.com.
Back with you on this Reaction Monday. Yeah, we got to look at RPI, don't we? We'll do that in a minute. See where everybody stands right now and kind of what the prognosis looks like here. Will commented on YouTube on the live stream. He said Hunter Hines stays hot as Kohler is heating up. Hope Dakota Jordan can get back to his homering ways. And, you know, that's the thing, Will. He will. The guy's just too good of a hitter. It's almost like, I mean, think about it this way. I in sports, have watched it, I guess, long enough that I've started, you know, you kind of have a greater perspective over all of these years, the older you get. And so you can see these things these theories play out over a longer period of time. But the law of averages, meaning the work that you've put in your life up to this point to be the ball player you are, and the ball player you are is the ball player you are. And what Dakota Jordan is an upper echelon hitter in college baseball from an average and a power standpoint. And it's just who he is. So everybody's going to have stretches, and in baseball more so than any other sport, you have the ups and downs just because of the nature of the sport. You can call it, you know, a slump every now and then a hot streak. You know, he had, for example, Dakota Jordan had an 11-game hit streak going, and most of those were multi-hit games in that 11-game hit streak up through the first game of the Vanderbilt series. And then he went 0 for 2 in game 2, 0 for 4 in game 3. So he had back-to-back hitless games. We were like, whoa. And it looked like he wasn't seeing it that well all of a sudden. But that was right on the heels of an 11-game streak where you just couldn't get him out. And then he went in there and had a 3-hit night 2 nights after back-to-back hitless days against Vandy. It's just like, you know, the law of averages is going to kick in with a player like that. So what I'm saying is, I'm dipping my toe here in the prediction waters, and I realize that. But when a guy like Dakota Jordan goes through, not early season, but late season, a little stretch where the ball doesn't leave the park as much, or there's a couple of more swings and misses on pitches that you think he's about to hit out of the park. Even when he's looking for breaking ball, you still expect him to hit out of the park. And he doesn't. What's going to happen at some point here, the law of averages is going to kick in. He's going to have an unbelievable 4 or 5 game stretch. It's coming. And what I think is, if you had your druthers, old Southern slang for what you'd rather have, instead of saying I'd rather, you just say druther. I'd druther him go on that hot streak in the postseason in a regional, super regional somewhere than now, because you're really going to need it then. So don't worry about Dakota Jordan is what I'd tell you. The law of averages on a guy like that is going to kick in at some point. You're going to go like, wow. It's like, I mean, maybe it's not a fair comparison, but when you think about some past upper echelon hitters for Mississippi State, Jake Mangum, Tanner Allen, those two even would have a stretch where you'd go, man, this is like 3 games in a row. He can't find a hole. He's swinging it. And you knew All that means is there's a stretch coming where he will be on fire, and it happened every time. And the same thing is about to happen to Dakota Jordan at some point. And it's like Hunter Hines. Hunter Hines, same way. Hunter Hines is what he is. He's a home run hitter. He's power. You go a long stretch without any, guess what? That law of averages is going to kick in on him at some point. You're going to look up and he's going to hit, 8 home runs in a week and a half. And he's just about done that. We were talking how hard it is to sweep. Sven commented and said, to sweep a team, you need consistent pitching over 3 days, and that's the hardest part. No question. No question about it, Sven. Like, if you got a really solid 95-pitch, 6-inning start, 3 hits, 1 run start from Brooks Auger yesterday in Game 3, it's a whole different story, isn't it? And instead, this guy who's trying to figure out how to be that third starter, he's kind of been good, bad, medium, like a little here, there. He goes out yesterday and walks the ballpark in 1 inning, and here go the wheels. So that's just, you're exactly right. I mean, I think you nailed it there. Miles commented, he said, I think Kohler is a home run monster now. Well, and he's another one, like you knew at some point the light will come on. Then it's just a matter of how long can you keep it up. What you hope with Kohler, like a really solid defending infielder, left-handed hitter, what you hope is that he has the kind of year that DeBrule had for you in 21. Scotty DeBrule, remember your transfer second baseman back then? Really hard to get out, got more and more confident at the plate as the year went on. Super defender, and just became one of the toughest outs in the lineup as the postseason went on. You would love for that to be the case. Nick texts the show and he says, those other people that ranked him last didn't realize that Justin Parker is a monster. He's the MVP of the season without a doubt. The turnaround for the pitching staff, Nick, like almost man for man. I almost wish somebody would well, here I go saying this, and then you'll feel obligated. Don't feel obligated to spend your time doing this, Nick. But I almost wish somebody would go out here and give me a chart of man for man last year to this year on that staff and look at some of the differences there. He really has been good. But the thing, it's curious to me, Nick. I really think, okay, how do I say this without sounding jaded and cynical? Well, if it's the truth, it's the truth. I think, and from a publicity standpoint, maybe rightfully so, but I think what's happening with a lot of your preseason poll stuff is everybody's kind of voting for themselves, and there's a whole publicity angle to it as well, as opposed to just how do we actually think these teams are going to be. I don't know. That's just one slight theory there. Now, B-Dog2, he texted the show and he said, any updates on Nate Dome's injury or recovery? I don't have anything. I don't. I just know, like, again, I've been watching it long enough that when a Friday night hard thrower leaves shaking his throwing arm on the way to the dugout early in the season, you don't see him for 3 or 4 weeks, and they tell you, oh, he doesn't need surgery or he's throwing in the bullpen. Yeah, but those guys just don't come back. Well, this one, he tries to come back, and he lasts, about 10 pitches? I'll be more surprised than anybody if you see him on the mound again this year. I think we need to drop it. And that's not basing it on any behind-the-scenes info. I'm just saying I've been watching it long enough. Those guys that doesn't happen to those guys, and they just run back out there and start pitching effectively that year. It doesn't happen. So I think it's the end for this year. Just an opinion. Would love to be wrong. Would love it. I'll high-five you if I'm wrong. Just looking at it practically. MSU 1980 Texas show said, Matt, I was pleased with State's performance in baseball and softball. And I'd be in hog heaven if State gets one from Arkansas. Yeah, and I mean, they got a pitching staff that unless you have a really good day, you're not winning. You have to go in there and have a good day to have a chance to win against the guys that they're putting on the mound at Arkansas. And, so I'm like you. Avoiding a sweep at Arkansas this weekend is mission accomplished. And if you get anything above that, throw a party. Look, MSU 19A, I'm serious. Me and you and some other State fans need to meet up somewhere in Jackson and like have a cake and fire off some fireworks and have a big celebration if State gets more than one game this weekend in Arkansas, and I'm being dead serious. White Denzel texts the show. He said, selfishly, when Dakota Jordan gets hot, I hope he starts getting hot about our last game in Hoover. 100% with you. I'm 100% with you on that. Rather than be hot when it matters the most. 100% with you, Denzel. If there's going to be a stretch of cooling off, it's like biscuits in the oven, Denzel. That old country joke about those flat biscuits. Said they squatted to rise but got cooked in the squat. And that's why they were flat. It's like biscuits in the oven. They squat down, and then when they get hot, then they come up and rise, right? That's what I hope. If there's going to be a little squat before the rise here, let it go on until the end of Hoover. Now, the other side of that argument, Denzel, is, man, if he could go hit 4 home runs this weekend in Fayetteville, that might get you 2 wins, and that's the difference in hosting or not. But whether you're hosting or not, still the ultimate goal is to get hot in that regional and scratch out 2 wins in a super and send your fan base on a journey from here to Omaha, Nebraska. Having gone through that in 21, there's just nothing like it. I'm sure bowl games are great in football. The basketball tournament, yeah, boy. I'm just telling you, there's nothing quite like following your baseball team to Omaha, Nebraska. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. More texts, more comments coming up. Feeling good on a Monday in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Stick around.
Have you ever wished for one product that would clean and shine almost everything in your house? Here it is, Clean and Shine. Like magic, Clean and Shine leaves a nice shine on fine wood furniture, so you don't need furniture polish. It cleans and shines mirrors, so you don't need glass cleaner for mirrors. It cleans and shines refrigerators, like this kitchen product, even countertops, tile, and vinyl. Try new Clean and Shine, the foam that cleans and shines almost everything in your house.
Someday when people look at me, they'll say, there goes Roy Hobbs, the best there ever was.
TriStar Pictures presents Robert Redford in The Natural, the story of a father and a son.
You got a gift, Roy, but it's not enough.
Of love.
He means the world to me.
And desire.
I'm not waiting for true love to come along, Roy.
A champion.
A Roy Hobbs comes along once, maybe twice in everybody's lifetime.
And his destiny.
With or without the records, they'll remember you.
Best there is now, and best there ever will be.
I wouldn't bet against me.
I already have.
Robert Redford, Robert Duvall, Glenn Close, Kim Basinger, Wilford Brimley, Barbara Hershey, Robert Prosky, and Richard Farnsworth as read. The Natural.
You know me. Would you believe I'm Bugs Bunny? I'm also the voice of many other cartoon characters. But in here, they don't care if I'm Elmer Fudd. So I carry an American Express card, the one card I need for travel and entertaining, for business and pleasure. Why, without this, the only way I'd get any attention is by saying, that's all, folks.
To apply for a card, call 800-528-8000.
The American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
The following is a presentation of TBS Sports. Exclusively on Superstation TBS. Superstation TBS presents the Atlanta Braves, America's team. Atlanta Braves baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that distinctively clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beers. This Bud's for you. By the official airline of the Atlanta Braves, Delta. We love to fly, and it shows. And by Eckerd Drugs, America's family drugstore.
If a man you've never met before suddenly gives you flowers, that's elation. The exciting new fragrance from Impulse.
Thursday, it's Cosby starting off a night of family fun. And leave it to Family Ties to keep the laughs coming.
Oh, no. What are we going to do? Everything's under control.
Then on Cheers, will Norm think on a friend to get a promotion?
Yes, Stone. Yes.
And the fun continues with Night Court.
I'm here to strip for Dan Fielding.
Thursday.
Oh, what a meal, oh,
Hamburger helper lasagna.
for your family.
Authentic Italian taste.
Hearty robusto, but not...
The Matt Wyatt Show. Ready to talk sports the Mississippi way with you. So get in on the conversation and tell him what you think. Right now on the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
Back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Give me a call on the Divinity phone, 897-1059, or you could text me on the Country Pleasing text line. That's 885-3776 or 885-ESPN. Nick says 9-point improvement in ERA. 9-point overall as a staff? Wait a minute, time out. When you say 9 points, you talking 9/10? Are you talking about 9 whole points from last year to this year for Mississippi State? Now is that the whole staff? Really? I mean, I can't even hardly wrap my head around it. I know the difference in wins and losses. I just didn't realize it was that bad versus what it is now. Talking baseball right here. And he sent me a tweet here from Robbie Falk at On3. Okay, and got two guys as examples. Last year, Tyson Harden and Tyler Davis for State had a 10.84 ERA. This year, those two have a 1.82. So those two guys are 9. That's what you're talking about, not the whole staff? Okay. So, but those two guys who are huge for you, righty-lefty closers, Harden the righty, Davis the lefty, combined that had a 10.84 last year and had 46 strikeouts in 42 1/3 last year. This year, they're 7-0 with 4 saves and a 1.82 combined ERA with 53 strikeouts in 49 1/3. More innings, more Ks. 10 fewer walks in more innings this year. Last year, they combined to give up 51 runs on the season. This year, they've combined to give up 10. Good night. Yeah, that's two guys that are major improvements. Hey, and listen, I was looking at the RPI deal. So according to D1, the D1 baseball RPI report, looks like the records are up to date to me. Looks like Texas A&M still is the number one RPI team, 40-8 after the series lost to LSU this weekend. Shows you how good they've been. I mean, man, they have been so good. Look at this. A&M, okay, I know they just lost 2 out of 3 to LSU this weekend, but they're 40-8 against the number 18 strength of schedule in the country. Their non-conference record is 24-0. They are 11-8 in quad ones, and so that's 3 to the good. It's not like spectacular, but in quad 2, quad 3, quad 4, they're 7-0, 5-0, and 17-0. They hadn't lost a bad game all year. Kentucky is 2 in the RPI, Arkansas 3, which shows you like what an opportunity this is this weekend for State. And that's a tall task, but to go up there and because they're 3 in the RPI and they are who they are, you go to Fayetteville and just pick up one win somehow, scratch one win out somehow. State's going to improve its RPI standing, and right now State's in the top 20. Clemson is 4, Georgia 5, North Carolina 6, Florida State 7, Tennessee 8, East Carolina number 9. How about the job that Cliff Godwin is doing at East Carolina? Indiana State 10, Sycamores. How about the Sycamores with the number 10 RPI in the country? Wake Forest 11, Virginia 12, South Carolina 13. It's got Alabama 14. They didn't lose anything. That kind of shows you. I think Alabama came into the weekend at 14 in the RPI, go to a top 20-ish RPI place and lose 2 out of 3, and they're right where they were. They didn't go up or down. Oregon State 15, UC Santa Barbara 16, Oklahoma 17, Mississippi State 18. I checked this, and so those rankings are, matching the record. State's 32 and 16 on the year. So State's at 18 in the RPI. And again, if you go to a place like Arkansas and don't get swept, State will actually probably go up a spot or so in the RPI. The only way you go down at all is if you do get swept up there. But you pick up one win, you're going to go up. And Sven said it on YouTube. He said, if you win the series at Arkansas, you are 100% a host. I think you're probably right about that. 2 wins up there against number 3, you're already at 18. It's going to bump you up enough where you're probably going to be solid enough where it'd be hard to play yourself out of a host. But hey, I guess nothing's a guarantee at this point. NC State 19, Dallas Baptist 20, Duke 21, Nebraska 22, Florida 23, Oklahoma State 24, Ole Miss 25. So it's 25. Those are your top 25 RPI. Vanderbilt is 26 in the RPI. LSU at 33, and Auburn at 49. And I guess Missouri is out of sight, or unless I missed it already. No, Missouri is at 94 in the RPI. Okay, and see, that's a dangerous thing about hosting all in 1 week after this Arkansas series for State. You look at what good your RPI does. Well, you mess around and you have 4 games in a row against UNA, whose RPI you can't even find it without a magnifying glass, and then Missouri, who right now is at 94. I mean, just winning those games at home against those RPIs is going to bring you back down, a spot or 2? So, and those are ifs. I mean, it's not a guarantee you win them. You better go win them. You better go win them, or all bets are off. You're definite too. But hey, again, to backtrack and go up 30,000 feet, look at this thing. Hey, State's in the hosting conversation. They are definitely a postseason team, and they could be a 2 seed. Nobody wants to have in their regional because of the way they have improved as a pitching staff and because of the power they do have in a lineup. And I tell you, man, you watch State play, And I know it's a little bit biased for me because I watch them. They're my team. I'm not watching a lot of others. Okay, but Chance in the leadoff spot, who's way up 320-something on the year. He's a really tough out. Chance in the leadoff spot, and then you're going Mershon, Jordan, Hines, and 𝐷𝐷𝐻𝑧𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐷𝐻𝑧𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐻. The next four, I mean, that's the first five in the lineup. Teams are, the way they're swinging the bat, all of them right now, you throw in Kohler in there in the 6 or 7, wherever they've got him in the lineup, all of a sudden it's like, it's a lineup you don't want to have to pitch to. Teams are not wanting their starters to see them 3 times through the lineup. So that's your RPI update. I'm not sure what happened at the end of that Ole Miss game yesterday. So they beat Auburn in game 1 and 2. Ole Miss put a 5 spot up in the top of the first. They're up 5-0 going into the bottom of the first. And then Auburn responded. 2 runs in the first, a run in the second, a run in the third, and another run in the fourth, and tied it up 5-5. And if I'm looking at this right, put up a run in the 7th to go up 6-5. Ole Miss comes up in the top of the 8th inning. Ross leads off the inning with a home run on a 3-1 count, ties the game 6-6. Right in the top of the 8th. Here we go. Chance to sweep. Bottom of the 8th inning. Leadoff home run, Auburn. 1 out home run, Auburn. So not back-to-back, but 2 out of the first 3 hitters in the bottom of the 8th inning are home runs for Auburn. It's 8-6. Bottom of the 8th, going to the top of the 9th. All Auburn needs is 3 outs, and they win this game 8-6. They got a 2-run lead, need 3 outs going to the top of the 9th inning. But we forgot, this is Auburn. We forgot it's Auburn. You get a single, leadoff single, fly out, another single, a walk, we're loaded. Fisher doubles to left center, clears the bases, a 3-run double, and it's 9-8. Ole Miss leading by 1 run now in the top of the 9th. We go to the bottom of the 9th. Ole Miss now with a 1-run lead just needs 3 outs for the sweep. You get a ground ball out. You get a strikeout. We're 1 out away with a 1-run lead, 9-8. All of a sudden, triple down the right field line. Next batter up, single. We're tied 9-9. Runner on base, goes to second on a wild pitch, steals third, and on a pass ball that goes to the backstop, the winning run, the walk-off run, scores from third base, and it's 10-9. Auburn wins the ball game to get 1 win out of the weekend. Crazy finish. That game yesterday, 19 combined runs and 26 combined hits and only 1 error. How about that? And it was the one that won the ball game for Auburn. All right, hour 1 in the books. Hour 2 coming up. Stick around.
Hi, Alicia from C Spire here, talking with Dave, who has 4 daughters.
Well, Emma's now driving, Olivia's on social media, and Sophie and Sarah, well, they just got phones.
That's why I'm excited to tell Dave about Connect and Protect from C Spire, a phone plan for kids and teens that lets Dave track location, manage screen time, and maybe, just maybe,
relax.
Connect and Protect. Just $25 a month with AutoPay. Only at C Spire. Customer inspired. Capable device required. See cspire.com for plan and promotion details.
Hello, Central America.
I was born and raised in Greenville. I've always called Greenville home. This is where I, was raised, went to high school, graduated high school, worked all my life here leading up to going to college. So even when I moved from Greenville, I always told people, they asked me where you're from, I always said I'm from Greenville. I have mother, father, brother, niece, aunt, all live here in Greenville. So this is home. This is where I, live, and I've just always called it home. Small town, I feel like I could walk in any place tomorrow and know 2 to 3 people in there. It's small town. Someone's on the side of the road broken down. Hey, you need a boost, flat tire, you need help changing it. That's just kind of, what I love about this area. The blues and the food and everything that comes along with the Mississippi Delta that I love. I tell people all the time, my business cards have my cell phone number on them for a reason. Insurance doesn't happen from 8 to 5. When you need me, it's going to be after 5. It hardly ever happens where you have a wreck, get pulled over, need an insurance card, wind blows, shingles off your roof. All these things happen, and it's typically after 5. And so the ability for someone to call me, get in contact with me, text me, ask me a question, and that's what it's about to me, is helping the people that we serve, is taking care of people and them knowing that they can count on me whenever they need me. I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online. MurrayWest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
A message from HHS and CDC's Screen for Life campaign.
A car is never just a car. Kelley Blue Book knows it's so much more than that. It's your commuting chariot, your road trip refuge, your I just need a reason to get out of the house. Your car is there for everything. And for everything car, there's Kelley Blue Book. Need a new set of wheels? Price it on Kelley Blue Book. Problem under the hood? Fix it with Kelley Blue Book. Can another car do the job better? Trade it or sell it on Kelley Blue Book. We're here mile after mile, moment after moment. Price it, fix it, trade it, sell it. KBB.com. Visit KelleyBlueBook.com to get the journey started.
Psst. Hey, I have a secret. I use Secret Whole Body Deodorant because more than just my armpits stink.
Oh, can I use it where my bra rubs under my...
Oh, yeah.
And what about down there? My...
Totally. 4 out of 5 gynecologists would recommend it. So I tried it, and now I get 72 hours of freshness from my pits to my...
Ooh, I love that it's a spray.
Me too. And it comes in sticks and creams too. Go get your Secret Whole Body Deodorant.
WRKS Pickens Jackson. We are good to go. With more of the Matt Wyatt Show. Coming to you direct and live at the Zone 105.9 and worldwide.
Now, here we go.
At the Zone 105.9.com.
All right, here we go. Hour number 2 of the show, off and running with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau here on this Reaction Monday. We've been talking a lot of baseball so far today. And the the comment of the day so far takes us back to the Sandlot, back to Little League. My man Sven over in Berlin, Germany, he said, I'm a peewee, he's talking about baseball coach. He said, let me tell you, I love the kids. He said, we beat the number 1 team in Berlin Saturday, 17-16, with a walk-off in the 5th inning. Attaboy! How about that? We're sandlotting over in Germany and hearing about it here on the show. So you don't get that anywhere else. Thanks for tuning in. You can be a part of the show. One way to do it is call me on the Davini Equipment phone line, Davini Equipment, Madison and in Jackson. The number to call, 897-1059. On the phone is Rooster, waiting patiently on line 1. Hey, Rooster, happy Monday.
Same to you guys. Yeah, it's, talking about Mississippi State baseball, I think, listening to your comments, I think probably 3-3, 6 games left.
Yeah.
3-3 probably gets as a host.
Okay.
It probably does.
Okay.
But, they're in now. 14 is the magic number. 14 that's a successful season. They're in the field, obviously. In fact, Ole Miss had won, their record was 14 when they won the national championship.
Yeah.
When State won it, it was 20-10, but Ole Miss got national champion with a 14-16 SEC record.
Yeah.
They got hot at the right time, which you're exactly right. That's what you need to do.
Yep, that's right.
But it's been a successful season. We don't need to fire them on us. I mean, they won the Governor's Cup. Hey, lost that Ole Miss series at Oxford, but they won the Governor's Cup. So it's a successful season right now. But obviously we're greedy. We want to have a tournament and Duty Noble. That's the deal.
I know.
Maybe not a super regional, but a regional would be great. Again, I think 3-3 can do it. I sure do.
Well, I know. It's like I saw things today that were like, somebody goes, hey, we went up in the RPI in spite of losing to Alabama. I'm like, wait a minute now. This is not football. You don't just play one game. State didn't lose to Alabama. They won the series. You won 2 out of 3. Now, I know you lost on Sunday, but sweeps are really tough. And then other people going, well, State just didn't finish. They just don't know how to finish. I'm like, I get it that you want a sweep, but when did we start expecting to sweep top 20 teams? Yeah, like if you get a sweep, great, throw a party, have a cake, but you can't expect it. So I wasn't disappointed in the weekend at all.
They took the foot off the pedal. That's what they did. I mean, Lamonis knows what he has to do. He sure does.
Yeah.
But what I want to say is, thank heavens from Madison County, Mississippi. If it wasn't from Madison County, Mississippi, we would be in trouble.
I tell you got that
there's
right.
3 players from Madison County. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And of course, I got more players than that, but those 3 guys have had fantastic seasons, and just hallelujahs. I'm glad they're in Starkville.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited now. We need to quit talking about firing Lamonis. We sure do.
We
needs to find a left-handed guy, 6'2", who can throw 99.
Okay.
That's what a closer. We still need that.
Oh, that's all. That's all. That's all we need. That ain't
that's
nothing.
all we need right now is a closer.
We can find
this team now is
we can find
Omaha.
somebody throwing 99 every day of the week.
Well, you got to get it over the plate with some consistency too. But yeah, this team is good enough. This team is good enough to be in Omaha right now. If they had the closer, they don't have a closer.
Yeah,
you got to get somebody and get 3 outs. Yeah. They don't have that.
We need somebody that deserves his High Point Roasters coffee from New Albany, highpointroasters.com, because coffee is for closers.
Okay. I'm an instant coffee drinker, so don't hang up on me.
Hey, now this is totally out of left field here, but somebody told me recently, Rooster, that if you will take your coffee grounds, like even though they're used, like out of the filter after you've made coffee, and if you'll sprinkle them in your yard, that it keeps mosquitoes away. Now, do you believe that?
Well, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. So, yeah, it's probably true. There's all kinds of stuff you can do with coffee grounds. But I don't use a coffee maker. I drink community instant coffee. Give them the plug. That's it.
There you go. Okay, instant coffee.
I support Baton Rouge.
Wonder if you can sprinkle that instant coffee in your yard.
That brings up the thought. We've got Auburn that's eliminated. The question is, which team joins them? Let's hope it's not Ole Miss.
Well,
it's either going to be Missouri or looks to me like LSU. Can you believe that? National champion and they don't make the tournament?
Well,
what's your prediction?
Let's see. Who does Ole Miss have left? Let's look here. Oh, what you got? I'm going to tell you what they have left.
They got 6 games left.
6 games, but I can't remember. Oh, so Ole Miss has Texas A&M in Oxford this weekend.
Right.
And then midweek with Southern Miss, and then go to Baton Rouge for the final weekend of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. And so
one of those teams is probably going to join Auburn. It's either going to be Missouri, LSU, or Ole Miss that joins Auburn and doesn't go to Hoover. Is it still in Hoover? No, it's in Nashville, isn't it?
No, it's still in Hoover. Okay, right now the bottom two, as it stands right now with 6 games left, Auburn is out. You're right. They're at the bottom 4-20. But then Missouri is 7-17. Both LSU and Ole Miss are 2 games above Missouri. And we do know that 3 of Missouri's 6 remaining games are in Starkville. I'm going to look up and see who they play this weekend, and I'll tell you. So right now, I mean, Missouri's got a 2-game jump on Ole Miss and LSU as far as being out of Hoover. But Missouri's got Auburn this weekend at Missouri. See, so it's like, really, if you're Ole Miss, as far as Hoover goes, because they got A&M in the road series at Baton Rouge, Ole Miss really needs to root for Auburn to go in there and beat up on Missouri this weekend, maybe just maybe, and make it easier to not be in that bottom 2. Because if Missouri wins that series, with Auburn, they can catch them.
Somebody Googled this. I saw it. It said, hey, Mississippi State is not likely to sweep Missouri. They're probably not. Missouri, they know they're fighting for their lives.
Yeah, no, they definitely are.
But it's going to be it'll be Missouri, Ole Miss, or LSU that doesn't make Hoover.
Okay.
That's for certain.
Missouri has already been swept this year at Tennessee. Okay. They were swept at Vanderbilt. And they were swept at Arkansas. So those are Missouri's weekend sweeps. They were all on the road. And so they were swept by Arkansas and Fayetteville, swept by Vandy and Nashville, and swept by Tennessee and Knoxville. So I don't know how many times Auburn's been swept. I don't remember them getting swept 3 times, to be honest with you. Missouri may have been swept.
They only won 4 games. It's going to be interesting. So let's hope that Ole Miss can win. Let's hope it's Missouri and Auburn who don't go.
There you go. All right, we'll see.
LSU, again, that would be the national champion to not even – that'd be 3 straight times that has happened. Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and LSU, if LSU winds up not going.
Yeah. I mean, we are sitting here looking at a scenario where it could potentially come down to the Ole Miss LSU series in Baton Rouge to determine which one of those 2 teams goes to the SEC tournament in Hoover and the other one getting left out. I mean, potentially that could happen.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, we got to say a bunch of prayers for Bianco and the Rebels for sure.
There you go.
But listen, I need a ride to Fayetteville. Are you going?
No, I'm not. It's a beautiful trip. It's a beautiful trip.
Yeah.
But I'm not going.
Yeah, we got to win a game up there. Again, we could, I think, like I said earlier, 2 wins against Missouri and 1 win in Arkansas. That should be a regional. That should be a host.
All right. I believe you. Appreciate the call, Rooster. Good to hear from you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Call anytime. And Auburn was swept in Starkville by State. They were swept at home by Kentucky. They were swept on the road at Texas A&M. They were swept on the road at Vanderbilt to start the SEC season. So Auburn has been swept 4 times this year, and I think 3 of those 4 on the road. Missouri has been swept 3 times. And so, yeah, if we want to look at it upside down, you got 6 games left, 2 weekends left. Right now, Auburn is securely in the bottom. It'd have to be something miraculous thing for them to make Hoover. Auburn at the bottom at 4-20, but Missouri next to last at 7-17. They are 2 games currently behind LSU and Ole Miss. And so when you look at what Ole Miss has left, A&M at home, LSU on the road. Ole Miss got to avoid sweeps and hope Missouri loses for sure to Mississippi State and Starkville, but maybe also to Auburn at home, right? To kind of take the pressure off. But I don't know. Or you could look at it another way. If Missouri would have somehow played their way into tying up with LSU and Ole Miss this weekend, or maybe a game into that last weekend, Ole Miss could beat LSU in Baton Rouge. They could eliminate LSU from the SEC tournament. Now, Hoover would not like that, because even though LSU is bad this year, they'll play well in Hoover. You can just kind of get ready for that, and they'll bring a whole bunch of fans up there too. So Hoover loves it when LSU's in. Hoover is absolutely rooting for 3 teams. The people in Hoover, Alabama, the people that run that event, people that have hotels and restaurants and golf courses and everything else in Hoover are rooting for 3 teams every year. And those 3 teams do not include Alabama and Auburn. Nope. They need LSU, Mississippi State, and Ole Miss. If they can get those 3 in, they know they're going to sell some tickets and some hotel rooms and some food and rounds of golf and a little bit of everything else. So maybe we can get them all in this year. I think that would be good. Y'all want some headlines? Here, top of the hour. Well, pretty close to the top of the hour. It's not the top of the hour, but it is close to the top of the hour. Headlines, here we go.
Good evening. I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world.
Good evening, and welcome to Eyewitness News.
Here's what's making news.
Headlines brought to you by Bank of England Mortgage and Went McGee. Went! The Mortgage Man. Find him online at mortgagemanms.com. Locations for Bank of England now in Went, in Ridgeland, and in Starkville, Oxford, and Tupelo. SEC this weekend, there was only one sweep. Georgia swept Vandy in Athens. Everybody else was 2 out of 3. Tennessee takes 2 out of 3 at Florida. Kentucky 2 out of 3 at home over Arkansas. State 2 out of 3 over Bama. Carolina 2 out of 3 in Missouri. Ole Miss also went on the road, took 2 out of 3 from Auburn. And LSU, a huge upset. 2 out of 3 from the number 1 team in the country, Texas A&M, this weekend in SEC baseball. That leaves your standings in the SEC. Kentucky at the top, 18-6, with Tennessee and Arkansas tied a game back at 17-7. Then there's A&M in 4th place in the league at 16-8. 2 games in front of Mississippi State, who is 5th in the league right now at 14-10. You got Georgia and South Carolina in a tie for 6th at 13-11. Then Vandy 11-13. Alabama and Florida both tied at 10-14. LSU and Ole Miss tied at 9-15. Missouri 7-17, and then Auburn at the bottom at 4-20. That's the way it looks right now. Now, a couple other things. These are headlines you need to know. Just make sure you're aware. It's not, and I don't know that it's either necessarily huge surprises. But first, you got Clemson. Just as an SEC fan, let's just keep an eye on it. Okay, Clemson and Florida State are trying to leave and get away from the ACC somehow, some way. Take it to court, sue them, get out of it somehow, some way, because Clemson and Florida State desire heavily to be in the SEC, and if not that, the Big Ten, something other than the conference they are in right now. So they're suing them. We all know that. Well, a South Carolina court has ordered the ACC to turn over documents pertaining to its agreement with ESPN. Clemson has requested this stuff in this lawsuit against the conference. Clemson's like, hey, look, let me see the papers. Let me see the paperwork in the ACC's agreement with ESPN, because if we can look at that, we're probably going to show that you didn't do a very good job and you've hurt us financially, and we're going to make that a part of this case. So the ACC was like, no, not giving you that. And so Clemson says to the judge, hey, judge, they won't give us the documents, the ESPN agreement. And the judge goes, all right, turn them over. And then he slams the gavel down. So the court says, you turn them over. The ACC has 7 days to produce unredacted documents about its TV deal with ESPN to Clemson. They're going to give it over to Clemson. Now, this order that the court gave also provides safeguards to keep those documents from being released publicly. Now, my question is, if they wind up out there on the internet, who gets in trouble? And the reason I want to know that is because they're going to wind up on the internet. Just get ready for it. All right, and this is the third thing. We were talking about LSU baseball. They win it all last year, in large part because of a guy named Paul Skeens, #1 overall pick, top prospect in the Pirates organization. He's already in AAA, mowing everybody down. But last night, a rite of passage. Paul Skeens allowed his first home run as a pro pitcher. He's pitching for Indianapolis. Gave up a solo home run to Will Robertson, a Blue Jays prospect, plays for Buffalo. Pitched 33 2/3 innings in the minors over the last couple of years before giving up a home run. Yeah, he's pretty good. After last night, his ERA went up to 0.99. He's allowed 4 total runs, 3 of them earned on 17 hits, 45 strikeouts in 27 1/3 innings in AAA. He's on the fast track, man. It won't be long now, like that monkey who sat his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. All right. Back over to the text line. Joe Mailman texts the show, and he said, put some coffee grounds around azaleas to enhance. Not too many like I did and took some out. What are you talking about? You saying too much coffee around your azaleas is not good for them? Like, how do I know it's the right amount? All I'm saying is I saw a video where this guy, he goes, you can take your used or even unused coffee grounds and sprinkle it in your yard, and it keeps mosquitoes away. And the other thing that he did is he took some coffee, like it was in the bag, basically, like poured it out into a little pile and lit it on fire with a lighter. It's sitting there flaming, smoldering, smoking. He says, this will keep mosquitoes away from you within 15 feet. I'm like, huh? Really? And, something like that, all I know to do is try it. So I will admit, this morning when I was making some new coffee, I emptied the coffee filter out of the coffee maker. I went and dumped it out in the yard. We'll see. We'll see if it works. PT for MSU said sub-1 ERA. Is that good? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty good, isn't it? That's ridiculously good is what it is. Man's been pitching in the minor leagues now for a long time, and he's at a .99 ERA. Gave him his first pro home run. He's ready for the Pirates now. Gave him a home run. Call him up. Yeah, that's pretty good. Hey, this is sort of recap or doubling back on something we touched on earlier, and so I thought I would just give it to you. The RPI after the weekend. Now, most diehard fans out there of college baseball have already looked this up. Many haven't. Many have lives and families, church and jobs. And you hadn't gone looking this up. Well, I'm going to tell you what it is right now. Okay, so here is how the RPI looks after the weekend's action. Texas A&M, in spite of losing 2 out of 3 at LSU, they remain the number 1 RPI team. They're 40-8 on the year against the 18 strength of schedule. So they're number 1 in the RPI. Kentucky is 2, Arkansas 3, Clemson 4, Georgia 5. It's top 5 in the RPI right there. 6, North Carolina. 7, Florida State. 8, Tennessee. 9, the Fighting Cliff Godwins at East Carolina. Number 10, Indiana State, the Sycamores. Number 11, Wake Forest. 12, Virginia. 13, South Carolina. 14, Alabama. 15, Oregon State. 16, UC Santa Barbara. 17, Oklahoma. 18, Mississippi State. 32-16 on the year. They're up 3 spots from yesterday or whatever. 19, NC State. 20, Dallas Baptist. 21, Duke. 22, Nebraska. 23, Florida. 24, Oklahoma State. 25, Ole Miss. And 26, Vanderbilt. Top 26 in the RPI all the way down to Vandy. That's how it looks right now. 6 games left in the SEC. And a whole lot of shaking could go on between now and that SEC tournament. Hour 2 underway in the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Stick around.
Thursday, it's Cosby starting off a night of family fun. And leave it to Family Ties to keep the laughs coming.
Oh, no. What are we going to do? Everything's under control.
Then on Cheers, will Norm think on a friend to get a promotion?
Yeah, yes, Stum. Yes.
And the fun continues with Night Court. Thursday.
For over half a century, dairymen have tried to capture in cans the flavor of pure, fresh milk. And now Foremost has discovered the secret with an evaporated milk that's closest by far to fresh milk itself.
Kind of hard to believe, isn't it? An evaporated milk that doesn't have that old-fashioned evaporated milk taste. But it's true, and you can prove it. You know how most evaporated milks taste in coffee. The flavor goes flat. But try Foremost. You'll see it's white, the way milk ought to look, not drab tan like other brands. And when you taste it, well, if you're anything like me, you'll never even know it isn't pure, fresh cream. You try it and see. That's Foremost, the closest thing in cans to pure, fresh milk. Remember, your family gets the most from Foremost.
Coca-Cola, come on, girl, gotta share a Coke with you. Let the feeling show through. You wanna live a little bit more. That's what the taste of Coke is for. Coke is life. Everybody wants a little life. Coca-Cola, Coke is life. Everybody wants.
Come on, Harry, come on. We're getting our picture taken. Special moments. Times of your life you'll want to remember. In pictures. Smile, Howard. Smile. To help make those pictures look as good as they can, make sure Kodak paper is behind them. If you don't see these words, it isn't Kodak paper. Just look for this sign when you get your pictures. Kodak paper, for a good look at the times of your life. See, wasn't that fun?
Come and get it. Come and get
Stop the confusion. Stop the confusion. Everybody wants to get into the act with Kellogg's Variety Pack. Buster wants the cornflakes. Pop wants a pep. Mama loves the Raisin Bran. Mama is hip. Sister loves Rice Krispies. And there's Uncle Jack. He loves Kellogg's shredded wheat. Kellogg's makes it fun to eat. Breakfast with Variety Pack. Okay, folks, there's your favorite individual box of cereal, fresh from Kellogg's Variety Pack, untouched by human hands, except your own. That don't mean you gotta eat with them. Each individual box comes to your FOD, fresh on delivery from Battle Creek, right to your own dish. Yeah, everybody wants to get into the act with Kellogg's Variety Pack. Yes, sir, Kellogg's Variety Pack.
Here comes the one, the delicious one. Heinz is the big rich one. There's only one ketchup with this flavor pouring on. So thick, so rich, so second to none.
Only one ketchup stands for this kind of thickness with this kind of taste. Heinz.
Heinz is the big rich one.
I love the rich, whole wheat goodness of Kellogg's Mini Wheats. But the delicious frosted side makes the rich kid in me open wide.
The nutritious shredded wheat helps keep me on my toes. But the little ballerina in me thinks the taste steals the show.
Kellogg's Mini Wheats, wholesome shredded wheat for the adult in you, great taste for the kid in you, so they're delicious and nutritious.
The whole grain wheat really packs a crunch, but the delicious taste gives it just the right.
At the Zone 105.9.
All right. Back with you. I'm Matt. In the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio, Jason in Flagstaff said on the Country Pleasing text line, he says, I truly think that extra year of COVID eligibility, lack of a big draft in 2020, helped these teams win the national championship. It also left a lot of holes when those guys all leave in mass. And I think there's obviously something to that, right? And you know, the occasional 1 year transfer that came in to be a part of that mix too. Like you look at it's totally different. It's even apples and oranges, but still 1 year transfers like a DeBrule on the 21 team for state, you know, the Skeens and Tommy Tanks, you know, the 1 year. Of course, he's more than a 1 year, but Skeens was a 1 year. But you're right. It's kind of piling that stuff up. And the deal with LSU was, too, it's like it was a lot different, yet still within that realm of, or that time frame of capitalizing on COVID eligibility and stuff, right? But their situation being so different in that they had a coaching change. Jay Johnson comes in from Arizona, brings a bunch of his Arizona, easy for me to say, Jason, Arizona players with him, and then adds the best hitter in college baseball and the best pitcher in college baseball all on the same team. And so wide open transfer portal and quote unquote NIL we know is pay for play. You know, what's your price tag to come play for us? All right, we got the money. If you've got the time, come on. And within the rules and within the laws, and went and got himself a national championship. And that was even different. And frankly, it's what A&M is trying to do this year. A&M's trying to repeat the LSU model. They didn't have a Skeens. There wasn't one out there. But they did get the Montgomery kid from Stanford. There's no telling what. You know, a place like A&M with A&M type of money, there's no telling what they're paying that Montgomery kid to come play for them this year. But it's about loading the wagon, right? They're trying to look at the LSU model and what's out there. What does it cost? And can we get them here? A&M's got the money. Even though they paid, you know, an 18-wheeler full of cash to get Jimbo Fisher to go away.
You know, I've been thinking about y'all and y'all dang old know what's going to get moving again. I think y'all ought to go jogging and swimming in a water bunch, man. They're going to be bad just like used to, man. I know it's going to work.
It still doesn't matter. They still have plenty. And they've loaded a wagon on this baseball team, and they're hoping this one will be it. But, yeah, I don't know. It gives them a chance, but it takes more than just loading a wagon. Hey, listen, someone earlier was bringing, I think it was Nick, talking about, you know, the job that Justin Parker has done with this pitching staff at State. And you look at differences from last year to this. And obviously it's not the same players, There's a few of the same ones, but your staff has a different makeup this year than it did last year. So a few of the same people and some different. But just to look it up, okay, on the season a year ago, State played, what am I looking at this overall? It was 53 games. They played those 53 games a year ago. And the pitching staff in 2023, a 7.01 ERA as a staff in 53 games. This year in 48 games for State, it's 4.16. So not quite, but pushing a 3-point jump for the entire staff. We're deep enough in the year where the number of games is pretty doggone close. That was 53 a year ago. You're already at 48 right now. Okay, here's another comparison. Look at this. In 53 games last year, that staff walked. This is not hit by pitches here. They walked 321 batters in 53 games last year. This year in 48 games, this staff has walked 172. That is 149 fewer. Again, not quite, but close to half the number of walks. Close to it. Another way to look at it would be, okay, and this would be another way to illustrate it. 149 fewer walks for this pitching staff for State this year than last year. That's in 48 games. Last year, that was in 53. Okay, so that's a difference of 5 games, right? 149. State would to catch last year's team in walks, State would have to average 30 walks a game for the next 5 games to walk as many batters as the staff did last year. It's not exaggerating it to try to make it sound incredible. It's just a flat out truth. Last year they played 53 games, this year at 48. They're 5 fewer. Over the next 5 games, to equal the number of walks by the pitching staff, State would have to walk almost 30 batters a game for the next 5 games to get to the number of walks that staff issued last year. I mean, if you wanted to narrow the jump down to one stat, wouldn't that be it? Seriously, there's a bunch of baseball people out here. Really. Does that number not tell us really what, if you want to boil it down to one single solitary thing, that is the difference from last year's team to this year's team? There it is right there. The fact that within 5 games of the same number of games, they walked twice as many people last year as they did this year. I mean, that's just incredible to me. Some of the other numbers, last year's pitching staff in those 53 games gave up 90 home runs. This year's pitching staff in 48 games has given up 48. I mean, a huge difference in terms of giving up balls over the fence. That's 40, to this point, 42 fewer home runs allowed. And again, to catch last year's home run total allowed by the pitching staff, this team would have to give up more than 8 home runs a game for the next 5 games to catch what that staff did last year. Just, again, So you're right. There would be plenty of different ways probably to dive in here and illustrate this. But you're right. The difference, that pitching staff last year to what Parker has done with that pitching staff this year, it's downright incredible now. It is. It's downright incredible. Last year, teams hit 268 against you. This year, they're hitting right at 230. So it's just a humongous difference all the way around. All right, get them on in here. Text the show. Country Pleasing text line. Country Pleasing sausage on grocery store shelves all around the Southeast. It is the best. 601-885-3776. Got it? 885-3776. Now, no, look, JS290, I know we're superstitious. I'm not superstitious. I'm a little stitious. I know we're superstitious, but he said on YouTube, walking 30 batters a game for the remaining 6 games sounds like a challenge. I don't mean it that way. It's not how I meant that. It's just putting in perspective what a good job they've done with the staff this year. Now, again, okay, let's bring it back home. The hay is not in the barn. Season is not over. All these games that remain matter. With the position that State has put itself in, these games that remain matter greatly. You know, State's not sitting there already right now. They're going to be a 9 or a 10 seed overall, and it's just there ain't much else that's going to change it. That's not where they are. State's right here on the host bubble. It's win and you could be hosting, lose and you won't. You know, you could, with what State has left with the position they're in, there are scenarios all over the map from, you know, hosting to, you know, finish with a whimper and you get sent to a tough place as a low 2 or something. You know, it varies greatly. So, still a long way to go. All right, time left with you, and we come back. We'll wrap it up next. I'm Matt in the Bureau. Stick around.
Have you ever wished for one product that would clean and shine almost everything in your house? Here it is, Clean and Shine. Like magic, Clean and Shine leaves a nice shine on fine wood furniture, so you don't need furniture polish. It cleans and shines mirrors, so you don't need glass cleaner for mirrors. It cleans and shines refrigerators, like this kitchen product. Even countertops, tile, and vinyl. Try new Clean and Shine, the foam that cleans and shines almost everything in your house.
Someday when people look at me, they'll say, there goes Roy Hobbs, the best there ever was.
TriStar Pictures presents Robert Redford in The Natural, the story of a father and a son.
You got a gift, Roy, but it's not enough.
Of love.
He means the world to me.
And desire.
I'm not waiting for true love to come along, Roy.
A champion.
Roy Hobbs comes along once, maybe twice in everybody's lifetime.
And his destiny.
With or without the records, they'll remember you.
Best there is now, and best there ever will be.
I wouldn't bet against me.
I already have.
Robert Redford, Robert Duvall, Glenn Close, Kim Basinger, Wilford Brimley, Barbara Hershey, Robert Prosky, and Richard Farnsworth as Red. The Natural.
You know me. Would you believe I'm Bugs Bunny? I'm also the voice of many other cartoon characters. But in here, they don't care if I'm Elmer Fudd. So I carry an American Express card, the one card I need for travel and entertaining, for business and pleasure. Why, without this, the only way I'd get any attention is by saying, that's all, folks.
To apply for a card, call 800-528-8000.
The American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
The following is a presentation of TBS Sports. Exclusively on Superstation TBS. Superstation TBS presents the Atlanta Braves, America's team. Atlanta Braves baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that distinctively clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beers. This Bud's for you. By the official airline of the Atlanta Braves, Delta. We love to fly, and it shows. And by Eckerd Drugs, America's family drugstore.
If a man you've never met before suddenly gives you flowers, that's elation. The exciting new fragrance from Impulse. Thursday, it's Cosby starting off a night of family fun. And leave it to family ties to keep the laughs coming.
Oh, no. What are they going to do? Everything's under control.
Then on Cheers, will Norm think on a friend to get a promotion?
Yes, yes.
And the fun continues with Night Court.
I'm here to strip for Dan Fielding.
Thursday.
Oh, what a meal, oh,
Hamburger helper lasagna.
for your family.
Authentic Italian taste.
Hearty robusto, but not too spicy, eh?
Hamburger helper lasagna turns your plain hamburger into a delicious Italian meal with authentic Italian taste. Curly Italian noodles, rich to...
.com.
Back. Saw this earlier today. What about what about this quote from that is attributed to Elvis Presley? Truth is like the sun. You can shut it out for a time, but it ain't going away. The truth is like the sun. You can block it out for a time, but it ain't going away. Man. Ain't that the truth? I think another one that I heard one time was, make friends with the truth because it is a relentless enemy. Eek. Back with you in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team. Jason, thanks for sending this. Jason out in Flagstaff, Arizona says, this is the amphibious pitcher stats. Well, I know what you mean. I know you're being sarcastic or facetious on purpose. It is funny. The ambidextrous pitcher, amphibious. 𝐁𝐮𝐫𝐬𝐁𝐮𝐫𝐞, he said, I will not try to spell or say his name. Yep, 𝐁𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿, who was a freshman for state last year, true freshman straight out of high school on last year's team. And then now he's a second-year player after a full cycle of, getting school under your belt and lifting and all that stuff that goes along with it. And, yeah, his numbers are also pretty telling. You look at him a year ago versus him this year. It's been a really good progression and change for him. And it's all work. So, thanks for sending this, Jason. The comparison is pretty telling for him. Now, at this point in the year, 2024, he started 12 games. He started 13 last year. So, we're not far off in terms of the sample size last year and this year. Get it? So this year, 12 starts, 12 appearances. Last year, 13 starts, 14 appearances. And so the numbers for this year in terms of appearances right now, pretty equal to where it was for him a year ago in its entirety. So we can compare it. So this year, 𝐁𝐮𝐫 has already thrown 16 1/3 more innings than he did a year ago. Let that sink in. Already this year, Jurrangelo 𝐁𝐮𝐫 has thrown 16 1/3 more innings than he did last year. Last year he gave up 48 runs. This year, 26. So he's basically cut it in half. I mean, he's cut the runs in half. In 16 1/3 more innings, he's given up half the runs that he did a year ago. Earned runs, same way, 26-45. He's given up fewer home runs in more innings. 8 home runs this year, 12 last year. He's walked fewer batters this year in more innings than he did last year. 24 walks this year, 34 last year in more innings. So he's pitched more innings, fewer runs, fewer home runs, fewer walks. Now, strikeouts have gone up, but the strikeout per 9 innings is really not all that different this year. So when you look at 𝐁𝐮𝐫, he's at 11.9 strikeouts per 9 innings. Last year he was 11.3. You see what I mean? So in terms of striking guys out, getting some swings and misses across his appearances, that's not the humongous difference. And it really isn't the humongous difference from last year's staff to this. Last year's staff got a lot of strikeouts. They just couldn't do anything else. They walked everybody else. 𝐁𝐮𝐫, it's about the same strikeout per 9, right at 11. It's a few percentage points here or there. But he's cut the runs in half, fewer home runs. He's cut the walks way down. And so big difference there. Strikeouts have gone up. So this year in 16 1/3 more innings, he's got 88 strikeouts. He had 63 a year ago. But again, home runs per 9 inning, he's cut it in half. Walks per 9 inning, he's cut it in half. All that facing more batters, pitching more innings this year. Fewer wild pitches. He had 5 wild pitches last year. In 16 1/3 more innings this year, he's only got 1. Like, everything's better except really the swings and the misses. And I think what it shows me is, one, obviously the progression for a guy who's a freshman straight out of high school to, when you even look at him this year, he's bigger, stronger, right? He kind of looks more like the college athlete this year than he did a year ago. That stands out. So it's sort of a natural progression thing, but he's doing it's obvious with the strikeout numbers, right? That the talent was always there. Like the arm talent, the velocity, the swing and a miss, he just can't hit it, throwing with both arms. Like he was really good last year. It's just everything else this year is dialed in. He's not walking people as much. They're not putting the bat on the ball nearly as much. They're not hitting it out of the yard nearly as much. They're not scoring. He's not hitting people. He's not bouncing it off the backstop. Everything's cleaner, better. And really, I think that translates across the whole staff. So this is a case study, and it will be by the time the year's over, looking at the job that Justin Parker has done this year. I mean, it's not in the barn. The season's not over. They have a long way to go to get themselves in the position they want to be in that postseason. But you have to look at this right now as a State fan and say, unequivocally, everything you hoped would be the case when they hired Justin Parker as a pitching coach is the case. Everything, the day they hired him and announced him, everything you would have written on a list if they said, hey, write down on a list what you're hoping that this new coach will do. Everything you would have written on the list and handed to him the day they hired him, they've done it. They've done all of it. It's really incredible. I mean, it's, hats off, man. And it's not like they didn't have some adversity, right? Dome was the man and was pitching like it too. And all of a sudden he's out early. And now what are we going to do? Now it's adjustment city. And boy, did they ever adjust. Cal Steven, Friday night, solid. St. game 2 or 3, depending on the matchup, more than solid. I mean, when he's on, you cannot hit him. I mean, he's out there sweating like crazy on Saturday, up there hitting 90 pitches, throwing 97 and 98. And, you know, and it's about so much more than just two guys. It's like what you get out of everybody else. Jason texted the show. He said something Jay Powell said very early this year was that the pitchers were getting batters to make bad contact a lot better than last year. And that's as important as strikeouts. Yeah. So, you know, how does State find itself in this position? It's pretty obvious, you know, right? But it's pitching staff leaps and bounds from one year to the next. Defense, that's another one, right? So, just like you said, Jason, the swing and the miss was there last year. It's just this year they are not walking people. Not at all like they were a year ago. And let me make sure I'm getting this right. Yeah, that was 23 this year. So what about fielding? What is that as a team last year to this? Fielding percentage. Okay, so last year your fielding percentage total was 964. What is it this year? It can't be all that. Yeah, it's better. 982. So you're at a 982 fielding percentage. Last year on the year it was 964. So pitching staff leaps and bounds, and you are a better defensive team across the board this year. It's paired with when the pitching staff makes leaps and bounds, just like you said, a lot of that is not the swing and miss. That was good last year. It's when they do put it in play, it's not as good a contact, and you're fielding it better. Those two things kind of go hand in hand, right? They're not hitting it as hard. You're going to make plays a little more often. But Say's been good defensively. And then, you know, your guys at the plate, everybody's a year older. I say everybody, but most everybody in your lineup a year older. And so it's sort of, they've been able to put it together. And there's got to be also, you know, some credit and a tip of the cap from a, you know, molding of the team together. I guess you could call it chemistry that nobody will know. It's only inside the team. But from Lemonis' standpoint, the way the previous couple of years had gone, to have all those things occur this year, along with a group of guys who they begin to get together and learn how to play together, enjoy playing together, and feel like they're a unit, and they're starting to look that way more and more often. To this point, it's a heck of a coaching job. Really, regardless of how it finishes, it's a heck of a coaching job this year all the way around. All right, that'll wrap it up for today. See y'all tomorrow. I'm Matt in the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio for Beaver. All of us here on the show. See you then. See you.
Now's the time to get a great deal on proven Kubota farming equipment. Tractors that are adaptable, versatile, and rated #1 in durability.